you need to have something down because a certain amount of oil will leak when you pull the cover off, and you don't want it to get all over your driveway. Make sure your vehicle's in neutral when you get start on the next procedure. This retains this onto there, so you're gonna put this under here and you're just gonna go boom. That's it, right? Then you're gonna put this under here and just pop it. Now your valve cover's off, see it? There's your lifters, all your lifters. These push rods go down into the engine, and then these are your rocker arms. The lifters are down in the engine, and the lifters from the camshaft move these up and down. These are your adjustments for your valves. You need a spark plug socket to put onto the generator so you can spin the motor around to adjust the valves. If you push a little pressure there, you want to turn this around till you bring the little V notch to top dead center on the number 1 spark plug cylinder. So what you're going to do is you're going to spin this until you see that mark, and that's what this is for. Your number 1 spark plug wire, pop your distributor, take your distributor off. Your number 1 should be pointing here, right? And where's it pointing? It's pointing like at number 3, so it needs to be at number 1. So you need to bring it around, and the best way to do it is like this. Just put the distributor back on there. Your distributor has to lock in like that. Put your screwdriver right there, like that. Now spin the motor around, like this. I know where it's at, so it's going to go like this. You keep spinning until you bring that to where your number 1 was pointing. You can really actually feel it, because this will be pointing here, and this will be pointing here, and that should be number 1. See, now watch. See how I brought it up? Now that's pointing right where the number 1 was. And this is lined up here with the case half. This is a case half. This has to be lined up with the case half. You can tell you're on number 1 also by making sure that your rocker arms are loose for the intake and the exhaust. Okay, we're adjusting the valves on the number 1 cylinder right now. What you need to do is you need to take your 13 millimeter with a screwdriver, put your screwdriver in the slot where your valve is, where your lifter, your rocker arm assembly is, loosen the nut, and then spin this, and then you're going to get your feeler gauge, and you're going to take your feeler gauge, which is a 6/1000, and you're going to stick it in between the rocker arm and your valve, and you make sure you get your adjustment properly, and then you make sure it's adjusted to where you're getting just enough to where the feeler gauge slides in and out freely, but you can feel a little bit of restriction, a little drag. Then you're going to hold the screw there with the screwdriver, and you're going to tighten the nut down, and then you're going to check it again to make sure it hasn't moved. So see, it's still got that slight drag, which is perfect. You're going to do that for your exhaust, your intake. Then you're going to do a 90 degrees spin on your distributor to go to number 2, and do the same thing on all the cylinders at a 90 degree turn. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to spin this 90 degrees to go to number 2 cylinder to adjust number 2 valves. Now there's a mark here that we marked to show top dead center on number 1. There's another mark on the other side at 90 degrees, so we know we're going to turn this counterclockwise to get the rotor to point to number 2 cylinder, which when we turn this, the other white mark should be right up at the top. And there's the white mark. So what we're doing is we're down here now. We've already went back to 90 degrees counterclockwise to get to number 2. We're just going to feel the rock arms to see that they're loose. That one's loose. That one's loose. So we know that we're at top dead center on number 2 cylinder. Now we're ready to adjust the number 2 valves. There's no reason to really glue these down if you put them on properly. I'm going to clean these valve covers. I'm going to pour a little gas in here and just clean them really good with a brush, some fuel, and then dry them off really well. And we may even paint them today. See, I can see a little bit of cork right here. See this? That cork's got to be off because that won't allow the valve cover to seat. See that little bit right there? These are important right here because you want this really clean. So when you're doing your make sure you clean it really good, dry it really good, get all the debris out. This is if you want to paint them, make them look nice. Okay, the valve cover's nice and cleaned off. Now you're going to take your gasket, goes in just one way, you set it in, make sure it's nice and seated in there. Like so. Now you're going to go under the car. You're going to take your valve cover, you're going to lay it in here, and you're going to make sure it seats on there nice and snug, and then you pull your lever, lock it in, and then to secure these properly, you take a hammer and you hit it from side to side, and that seats the valve cover. And that's all you need. Make sure when you're done with the procedure of the valve adjustment, you set your distributor cap back on and lock it in properly. Right there, it locks in with that little notch. Then you snap these on. Get these snapped up in there. And then that's it. Make sure it's tight. Make sure your wires are tight. And that's it.